Thank you for joining today's webinar. I'm Dr. Janet Six, Senior Product Manager at Tom Sawyer Software. And today we're going to be talking about the new features in Perspectives 13 and 13.1. We will be running a live Q&A at the end of the webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free during the webinar to go ahead and ask your questions in the chat, and we'll answer them after the webinar. And if you miss anything, we'll be sending a recording of the webinar when it's available. So today we're going to be talking more about Tom Sawyer Perspectives and the new features that we have. But first, let's take a moment to discuss what is Tom Sawyer Perspectives. Tom Sawyer Perspectives is an SDK and low-code graph visualization and analysis development platform with integrated design and preview interfaces and extensive API libraries that allow developers to quickly create custom applications and intuitively solve big data problems. So how does Perspectives do that? First of all, Perspectives is data agnostic and it can federate data across many data types, including graph databases, relational databases, Excel, JSON, RESTful endpoints, and more. Then Perspectives can process the data with a combination of special rules and results of analysis, as well as creating a native graph model, which can manage complexity as well. And then Perspectives creates dashboards with interactive and customizable views. So today we're going to be talking about new features in 13 and 13.1 release of Perspectives. In specific, we're going to discuss the new React-based web client rendering framework that will redefine the way you build and enhance web applications. We'll also discuss the pattern matching query builder and load neighbors features that leverage intuitive graph visualizations, which allow you to explore and identify graph patterns without the need to know Gremlin or Cypher. We're also going to discuss the new Augmented Centrality Analysis algorithm for efficiently extracting valuable insights and finding crucial relationships. We'll also take a look at the new commit capability in our RDF integrator. And also we'll be discussing how Perspectives is now available on the AWS Marketplace. So first, we're going to discuss the new React framework. We have a screenshot here. So Perspectives features a native React-based web client framework for table, tree, and inspector views, as well as toolbar, dialogues, context menus, and the web previewer. The Generate Web Application Code feature, which speeds development and deployment of your application, also supports these React components as well. So the new modern React component framework supports the customization of these modern looking views and also interactions. So first of all, let's take a quick look at some of the differences. So here we have our example application that we call the network editor, and we have it here in the classic web client view. Now let's go and take a look at this in our new modern web framework. So I have that pulled up here for us. And so we have here, oh, it's gone to sleep. Wake this up. So you'll see here a new modernized look of the same application. So we have the same graph, and it looks like I'm taking just a moment here with our WebEx running. So here you'll see the same graph that we saw earlier, but now we have our new modern view. So you'll see that we have updated tabs showing our different trees over here and the tree elements. We have our drawing view over here, which is synchronized with our inspector view over here, as well as our table. So you can look for certain items in the table for example, you can click on them and then be taken to that part of the visualization in our other views. Okay, now let's zoom back out. And of course, you'll see the new icons that we have as well. And of course, you have our, our usual layout technologies. Those are not new, but of course, they work just the same here in our new React web client framework. So let's just run through these here quickly. So we have bundle, then we have circular, hierarchical, orthogonal, and symmetric. Okay, I'm going to keep moving on here because there are several things that we want to cover in our webinar today. Okay, and for our next feature, we're going to discuss the Query Builder and Load Neighbors with the Advanced Graph Pattern Matching feature. And so these features allow you to search for graph patterns with an intuitive graph visualization so that you can uncover insights and effortlessly explore your data without the need to know the Gremlin or the Cypher query languages. So let's see how that works. We have an example application here where we're going to investigate a graph database that has information about sales orders and inventories and suppliers and so on. So first, we're going to use our query builder to load some relevant information. So you see here that we have a query builder with our model element types for nodes and edges. So first of all, where did these elements come from? These elements come from the schema in the application, and the schema came through our automatic schema extraction from the database. So this feature that you see is very easy to use. You can connect to your graph database, automatically extract the schema, and then add the query builder and the load neighbor icons to your toolbar, and you too can see this dialog with this canvas where you build queries with elements from your database. So here, again, we're looking at information about sales data and so on. So we want to pull up a particular category of data. So I'm going to select the category node in our query builder, and we want to apply a condition to this because we want to look for information about cereal and grain products. So I'm going to select category, right click, choose edit, and here I'm going to add a condition. So we're going to look for category elements with a particular attribute. And so again, these attributes are loaded automatically into the application because we used schema extraction. So I'm going to look for categories that have a description that contains the word cereal and press OK. So now our query is ready to go. And if you're curious, you can show the query, but again, you don't have to write this. So by using the query builder and the load neighbors features, you save yourselves a lot of trouble because you don't ever have to write a query that looks like this. Okay, so we don't need this. I'm going to close this dialog. We also can select a query limit. Here I'm going to keep the 5 query limit, and we're going to press OK. So we've loaded our category that is related to grains and cereal. Now let's find out more. We want to load the neighbors and load some specific products. So I'm going to open our load neighbors capability, and you're going to see here that we are looking for a particular graph pattern. So what we see here is that we would load any data that's related to this category, but we specifically want to load products. So I'm going to select product and press OK. And our graph pattern is ready to go. And so now we have loaded the related products for this category. So you see that we have 2 different drawing views here. On the left side, we see overall the graph with the category here in yellow, and then we have the related products here in blue. And then over here on the right side, we see the same graph, but we've used swim lanes. So at a glance, we can very quickly see not only each type of data element, but how many we have of each. And you may have also noticed that the swim lanes were added automatically. So Perspectives is automatically set so that when you update your data that you're showing in a view and you need to add swim lanes, it will do that for you automatically. Okay, so now let's go ahead and continue our investigation. And we are particularly interested in the phyllo mix, and we want to know who's the supplier for that. So let's find out. So we're going to do a load neighbors. And again, we see the product here, and we want to update this graph pattern because we want to know who the supplier is. So we're going to edit, and you see here we have several options, but again, we want to focus in on who's supplying it. So we choose supplier, and we press OK. Our graph pattern is ready to go. And so now we know who the supplier is. And so you can see how we've added that to our visualization, and also that we have a new swim lane for supplier as well. Okay. So what else does Good Day supply? Let's find out. We're going to do a load neighbors, and we are going to edit because we want to find specific data. So we want to find the products that they have. So we're going to press OK. Graph pattern's ready to go. And now we can see the other products which are supplied by the Good Day company. So let's zoom in a little bit and we can see that information. Good. So now they have a couple of other different products. So what categories are those products in? Let's find out. So we're going to select these two new products, and we're going to load neighbors. And you can see here that we have two product types that are selected. And we are going to do an edit here. And we want to find out the category. So I choose category, and we press OK. Graph pattern is ready to go. And so now we've added the categories for these products. So now we're going to continue our investigation with this chain of incrementally loading data through our load neighbors capability. And so let's go ahead and select these two items, and we're going to load neighbors because we want to load more products that are related to this. But we want to make sure that we focus in our search. So we're going to select any, do edit. We're going to change to product, and we're going to add a condition because we want to look at products that we have in stock in a good amount. So we're going to select the units in stock, and it's going to be at least 25. And we press OK. So we can see we have a condition on this element, and our graph pattern is ready to go. Let's press OK. So now we've added some new related products in those categories which have a good stock. Now we are particularly interested in a couple of these elements, the tofu and these dried apples, and we want to know if those are being ordered together. So we are going to select the dried apples and the tofu, and we're going to load our neighbors. So again, here's our graph pattern, and we're going to do an edit because we're interested about orders that include these products. So I'm going to select order and press OK. Okay, so now we have a graph pattern which is going to load orders that have tofu and or dried apples. But you know what we want to find? We want to find orders that have both the tofu and the dried apples. So I'm going to select product, and we're going to do ungroup. And so we've automatically updated our graph pattern. So now we're going to find those orders that have both of the products. So let's press OK. And now it has loaded those relevant orders that include both the dried apples and the tofu. So I can select one of those. You'll see how our synchronized view, we can see it over here in this drawing view as well. And then we have all of the information here in our inspector. So in this example application, we interactively loaded relevant data using graph patterns, and you can see the data with and without the categorization provided by swim lanes, and continue to incrementally load data as you need for your use case. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about our next feature, that is augmented centrality. So what is augmented centrality? Augmented centrality allows you to calculate centrality values for nodes and edges at the same time, where you can customize the algorithm to use a combination of different centrality techniques. And so, of course, each centrality algorithm has distinct advantages, and augmented centrality allows you to benefit from a combination of these advantages so that you can discover more insights in your data. And so we're going to take a quick look here at a application that we have ready to go. And this is where we do two types of analysis. And so on the left side here, we are going to see a bi-connected component analysis, which helps us find um, vulnerable points in your network. So, and we're not going to spend a lot of time on this today because this is not new, but I just wanted you to see that we have an existing application where we can run a useful analysis. So these red nodes are useful for us. These are vulnerable points in our network. And in Perspectives Designer, in minutes, we can add the new augmented centrality analysis. So I wanted to show you how we did that. So this is that application. We were just looking at the web previewer for it. And I added a new analyzer here for augmented centrality. So how did I do that? So first of all, we pick the algorithm. So I'm going to double click here, and you can see that we have this list of many algorithms that are available in the Perspective suite, and we just choose augmented centrality, and then we can define preferences and options for the application and how it's run. And here is where you get to choose which centrality techniques are important to you and which combination do you want to see. So here we chose betweenness and page rank, and we want to see a combination of those results because we want to know a combination of which nodes are important and which ones are on many shortest paths in our network. Okay, and so let's go back here, and I added a drawing view, and you can, let me go back to the designer here quickly, you can select Generate Drawing View, and this will automatically create a new view for you and add it to your application, which we see here. But let's go look at it in the demo running live. So I select Augmented Centrality Analyzer tab, and here we have our results. So we see the centrality results. If you have a larger node, you have a more important node with respect to a combination of both betweenness and PageRank centralities. Okay, so let's go and take a look at our next application, which is about RDF commit. And so commit is now supported for Sparkle endpoints and several file formats. If you're familiar with RDF, there's many, many types of those. But we support that for N3 and RDF, RJ, and tricks files, as well as other types of RDF file formats.
What do you mean by commit? Do you mean write to the database?
Yes, thank you. To write to the database to update changes. So you can read, create, modify, and delete through our RDF integrator in Perspectives. And so let's take a quick example and see how that works. So we have an example application here with a network. And so the elements that are up and running just fine are in green, and those which have problems are shown here in red. So let's say that during our use of the network today, we've determined that this element has become down. So I selected that model or that network item, and over here in the inspector, I can change that status from OK to down. And you can see how the element immediately turned red. I didn't have to do anything to turn it red. But in perspectives, we can say if you have an element that's down, color it red. So you can see it did that automatically. And now over here, I am going to press the commit icon, and that change is now committed back to the database. So we're going to come over here to the designer very quickly. And I want for you to see these create, read, modify, and delete queries that were used. So I'm going to go over here to our integrator definition for commit, and you can see here how we have the read, create, modify, and delete queries. I did not have to write these. When I used schema extraction to connect to this RDF data source, Perspectives automatically created all of these queries for me. So that helped to create this application quickly and carefully. Okay, very good. All right. And now we're going to discuss about perspectives being available on the AWS Marketplace. So in order to better support your development and deployment to AWS Cloud, we now have perspectives available on the AWS Marketplace. All of the capabilities that you see in our perspectives applications are also available in this AWS Marketplace offering. And so you can directly develop and deploy your applications to the cloud using our easy to use application and process. So this is going to be a simplification for developers to create and deploy robust graph analytics and visualization algorithms applications to the AWS cloud. And of course, there are more things that were released in Perspectives 13.0 and 13.1. Let's just talk briefly about some of those. So Perspectives has been upgraded to Java 17 and Spring 6. Also, many third-party libraries have been updated to eliminate potential vulnerabilities. We also see accelerated performance across Perspectives Designer, the web previewer, and applications, which ensure faster load times and more responsive interface. We've also documented APIs so that you can use our new React-based web client framework with your particular choice of framework. And that will help you to integrate these new views into your existing applications. We've also added navigation for model-based engineering diagrams through links which exist on the system model elements. And we've improved layout upon expansion of nested drawings, which we can see here. So you can see the improved layout with the fewer crossings. So thank you for joining us today. In today's webinar, we discussed many new features that are now available in Perspectives or will be in our upcoming 13.1 release. And this includes the React-based web client framework, the advanced query builder and load neighbors capabilities with graph pattern matching, the augmented centrality analysis, RDF commit or update your database capabilities, and Perspectives being available on the AWS Marketplace. Contact us today at tomsawyer.com to start your free trial of Perspectives or to schedule a call with one of our graph and data visualization experts. We can help guide you to the best solution.